All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. First off, welcome to our AI webinar, our AI mode webinar. We're very excited to go over today's content. We'll be going over some of Google's new AI mode features, the future that it plays in hotel marketing, how that plays into getting hotel bookings. We'll also be going over our team's study of AI mode, what we've seen on the platform. We'll be talking a little bit about the statistics, the common trends, the patterns we've analyzed throughout the searches amongst different properties, and more to come on that. And I'm happy to introduce our presenters today. So myself, my name is Alex Horrocks. I'm a senior search strategist here at G-Commerce. And then we'll also have Naomi Georges, who's joining me today, and she is a search strategist here at G-Commerce as well. So a little bit about what we'll be going over today. We'll be talking a little bit about what AI mode is, why it's important for hotel marketers, how it compares to other AI search platforms. So if you've used Gemini or ChatGPT, those are examples of different search platforms. So we'll compare how this one compares to those. We'll go over some of our key findings from our study as a team. And then we'll talk a little bit about how your hotel can optimize for visibility. So a lot of great content here. Things like this change all the time. So what we have is what we currently have up to date. And then what we currently know about tracking visibility that comes from AI mode to your website. Again, this is also something that is subject to change. Digital marketing is always changing, so it's prone to change at some point in the future. And then we'll also go over, excuse me, my slides started to wonk out on me. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Naomi, and we'll talk about what it is and why it's important for hotel marketers.
Thanks, Alex. AI mode is Google's AI engine that uses Gemini to answer user-generated queries. It's more conversational type of search than traditional search engines. It breaks into subtopics that have different answers and different sources. It allows users to ask follow-up questions and that connect to the original query, allowing a more nuanced type of search. It is also more of a holistic approach to search, and it delivers different results than the standard Google search results on the SERP. How to use AI mode. So you can go to the traditional Google's page and just hit AI mode, as you see on the top picture right there. Or you can just go to google.com/AI mode. Try typing in more conversational searches and ask follow-up questions. So Google's AI mode is a secluded standalone experience, and it's entirely powered by AI. It's a similar search experience to ChatGPT. In contrast, Google's AI overviews, which you see on the top picture right there, is generated within the traditional search engine results page. It is entirely powered by Gemini 2.5. So Gemini is a language learning model. By analyzing text to identify trends in language, LLMs can categorize data and predict likely answers to user questions and more. Google's AI mode originally launched in beta for early access through Google Search Labs back in March of this year, and it rolled out to the rest of the United States in June 27th of this year, and it's launching in more countries and more languages every day. Now I'm going to pass it over to Alex, and he will be explaining how Google AI mode compares to traditional search and other AI engines.
Oh, Alex, you are on mute.
Thanks. Sorry about that. So we'll go over a little bit about what the experience is like and how it compares to other platforms, as Naomi mentioned. So what we know for the Google AI mode experience currently is that any query can be entered, but since it's a lot more conversational, we encourage you guys to ask a lot more questions within the platform. It provides summarized information that typically is within several sections and separated thematically based on your preferences of what you're looking for. And so we'll get into some examples of what that looks like here in a moment. And then for hotel queries, each section usually lists a few different hotels with basic information and links to your Google Business Profile pop-up. And hotel listing pop-ups usually display detailed information from Google Business Profiles as well as meta search results. Usually it's linked there within or above the Google Business Profile pop-up. Although you don't see it in this screenshot, that is one way that meta search results do populate. And the sidebar on the right, as you see in the screenshot, is the listed sources cited within AI mode's response. So everything that shows up in AI mode is linked to, a different website or source that is listed there on the right. And this just kind of gives users an overview of where AI is pulling its information from. And there is also, I guess, a best practice or format to continue using AI mode, or I guess a way that it continues to talk with you. AI mode continues to ask questions based on information you've already provided. And AI mode cannot carry it cannot carry through. Sorry, my slides are really wonky. Sorry, everybody. AI mode cannot carry through requests to book a hotel for you, but it will provide a guide on how to do it for yourself. So it gives you links and contact information for booking options, as an example. And so now we'll just kind of talk a little bit about how it compares to regular standard searches. AI mode uses AI models to understand user intent behind queries, including, more complex multi-step questions. It can provide more in-depth answers to direct questions and will often encourage follow-up questions at the end of each response. So if you use ChatGPT a lot, there's a lot of follow-up questions at the end of responses there. This one also does a similar format. Hotels can often be presented with summaries based on information gathered by Google's AI. Sources include business profiles, as we kind of talked about before, travel blogs, OTAs. AI mode often follows up with questions, asking for more details on your preferences. It does offer to help you plan your trip itinerary, so it kind of acts as like a travel guide or a travel agent. And it continues to develop ways to advertise on the platform. The most prominent examples that we have for hoteliers right now include meta search listings. Other ad types are available on AI mode, that could be offered to hoteliers, but right now we only know that it is currently offered on the platform. And in order to actually run AI mode ads, this is separate from meta search altogether. You need to have an account, a current Google Ads account that has at least one of these requirements, which is using broad match keywords. It needs to be running AI max campaigns or performance max campaigns. Right, and how it compares to ChatGPT. So for hotel searches, Google Business Profile is often the primary source of information that gets pulled. So in which case, if you're using, Google Business Profile, you want to try to keep it up to date as much as you can. Make sure your details are accurate, your pricing. This not only helps improve visibility, but also gives your hotel more control over the search results that come through AI mode. ChatGPT search does not feature any ads, while AI mode does. Kind of falls back on my previous comment about what's required to be able to run AI mode ads. AI mode has more interactive features. So Google Business Profile pop-ups tend to happen a lot. Explorable maps showing you different hotel locations. Um, and Google's claims right now that its AI mode aims to enhance the user experience with AI-powered summaries and insights. Um, and it still provides the familiar access to a wide range of web links. ChatGPT Search presents an even more chat-centric approach, however, which emphasizes like direct answers and a little more conversational flow. And now I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Naomi. She's going to go over our AI mode study as a team.
Thanks, Alex. Here at GCOM, we were able to gain access to the Google AI mode beta. So during our study, we really focused in on branded and non-branded queries. We compared AI mode to the search experience and search queries that focused on different locations around the country, including Boston, Anaheim, and Nashville. Here are some of our key findings. So as Alex previously stated, Google's AI mode acts as a digital travel agent. It really helps to users to explore travel and accommodations. It goes beyond accommodations. It actually gives recommendations for local attractions, dining, events, and things to do. It also avoids giving a definitive answer. Instead, it provides a range of options, nudging the user towards like further research. It prioritizes Google-owned platforms such as Google Business Profile, as Alex previously stated. It organizes information to clear themes and categories such as like by neighborhood, family-friendly, boutique, stylish. Something else that we noticed was that search results may vary from day to day. So you might get results for one day and it might be something different the next if you give it a couple of days. For our branded searches, AI mode appearance can vary based on the query. And since it pulls from different sources, these may include detailed sources on results that may include reviews and ratings from OTAs or Google Business Profile. It may include the images of the hotel, detailed descriptions of the amenities, dining options at or around the hotel, local attractions, and we noticed that it highlighted awards and accommodations such as Travel and Leisure, Forbes, and AAA Diamond. For non-branded searches, we observed that it pulls from a range of sources, information really focusing in on OTAs, which are online travel agents, third-party blogs, travel blogs, review sites, and local SEO. It groups hotels into 3 to 5 categories with 3 to 5 hotels in each category. Categories are tailored to the search terms and the hotel's location. So if you're looking for, like, if you search based on star ratings, you're going to get luxury, mid, and budget friendly. If your search is based on like locations such as waterfront hotels or hotels near the convention center or glass lamp center hotels, it's going to show you those hotels in that location. Hotels that are categorized can also be categorized by boutique hotels or historic hotels. Near the bottom, there is a section on what to consider when choosing a hotel. Again, giving the user a choice to like nudge them towards doing further research. Also, near the bottom, there's usually a map that typically shows where the hotels are in the surrounding location that you're searching. For attraction-specific searches, we noticed if you have your market terms, it has Anaheim in it, it's going to give you categorize the hotels by luxury or star rating. terms that have Disney or Disneyland in it, it'll categorize the hotels within walking distance of the resort itself. If you use Fenway Park, market terms with Fenway Park will categorize hotels that are closer to Fenway Park within walkable or short drivable distance. And finally, if you have the term SeaWorld San Diego in your market terms, it'll prioritize hotels within walking distance or drivable distance to the hotel and then further categorize them into star ratings. So here at GCOM, we gather up all the sources, the most common sources used for both branded and non-branded terms. So the most commonly used was 34%, which was OTAs, Expedia, Booking.com, other travel sites. 27% of sources were review sites such as TripAdvisor or Oyster. 18% of the sources were the actual official hotel website. 8% were the hotel partners such as historic hotels. Another 7% was for travel guides and blogs, think US News Travel or Lonely Planet. And 5% were hotel review sites such as Oyster. Other less common sources were social media such as Facebook, YouTube, or Reddit, hotel groups such as Preferred Hotels, branded hotels such as Holiday Inn and the Hilton or IHG. Wikipedia was also used as a source mainly for authoritative background and government travel sites. The most common sources for branded hotels, the 37% of the sources found were the hotel's official website. Another 14% was review sites. Again, think Oyster, TripAdvisor. 14% were hotel partners. Again, think historic hotels. 14% were travel guides and blogs. And 12% were actually OTAs. And 9% were hotel review sites. The official website was used twice as often as OTAs when it comes to branded searches. So for market term searches, the sources most commonly used is with a whopping 50%. It was OTAs, think Expedia, Booking.com. Another 18% were the review sites such as TripAdvisor. 8% were blogs, but they weren't associated with hospitality. Think local blogs for businesses, trip groups, universities. 7% of the sources found were of the official hotel website. Another 5% were used from travel guides and blogs, and 3% were event OTAs. Think Eventbrite, GoCity. For market terms, OTAs rely heavily on keywords that usually return a list of hotels that filter by location or modifiers such as luxury hotels. So you'll get top luxury hotels. Local SEO and blogs are local SEO and blogs from local businesses are more important than ever when it comes to market term sources. Now I'm going to pass it off to Alex, and he'll be discussing how to optimize for Google's AI mode.
Thanks, Naomi. Yeah, so we'll go over some key components here. We'll start with the first one. We'll go over four different ones, but the first one here is to focus on building local listings. So examples include Google Business Profiles, TripAdvisor, Yelp, Bing Places. There's hundreds of different listings out there that you can create, but these are just some of the more prioritized listing groups that you can use. Google My Business Profiles are usually the most consistent source. We've talked about that as well, of information that tends to come through for AI mode. So make sure that you do harp on that one a little bit more. Review management is more important than ever. So if you can, try to make sure you're responding to as much reviews as possible. It plays a very consistent role in AI content and the content that comes through AI mode. More positive reviews for your property means more visibility. So have a strategy in place to be able to generate more positive reviews as much as you can. As a hotel, ensure that your information is accurate and up to date on commonly cited AI sources. So if it's your brand, make sure your website, if it's branded searches, make sure your website is up to date. With market terms, make sure that if you're partnering with any OTAs, make sure that the information that you're giving them is accurate about your hotel. And then here are some listed examples of the information that you can have that's accurate and needs to be up to date. Your name, your address, phone number, and your website. More accurate information is definitely one of those things that boosts your visibility and ensures that potential guests can find your hotel, especially when it comes to AI mode. The second strategy is creating holistic and more conversational content. Um, Google's AI mode uses a lot of language learning models like Gemini, or large language models, excuse me, which processes a lot more natural language queries and makes it more conversational flow. So, create content that answers questions more comprehensively and naturally, tends to perform a little bit better. Um, Make sure that, when you're thinking of ideas, you want to cover comprehensive topics all across the board within your hotel, the amenities that you offer, the location that you're in, the nearby attractions, as we saw from the study that Naomi presented, depending on where you're located, for example, Anaheim, you'll get a lot more generated results around like Disneyland because that's a popular location. Um, so be conversational and well-rounded as well. Blogs, videos, and photos tend to perform the best because it gives people visual. It's a lot more natural flowing, and it's not just like a wall of text that they have to read through. Provide relevant content that's published on all available channels. So like your website, Facebook, Instagram, if you use it, the more places Google sees the content, the more likely it will see it as relevant. And then the last point that we can give you is, try to think a lot like your guests. What do they like? What do they try to find more often within your area? And like, again, AI mode uses Gemini and wants to act like a travel agent. So, if you can use the perspective of your guest and put yourself in their shoes and try to put out content that's relevant to them, um, AI mode will be able to pull that a little bit better, um, and use that as information in the SERP. The third suggestion we can give you is to enhance technical SEO and site structure. What this does is it helps Google easily read and rank your websites a little bit better, um, gives your site structure more usability to find exactly what users are looking for, what your guests are looking for. So obviously one of those things is, make sure that it's easy to find a page like your rooms. That's a very obvious example. Um, Page speed, responsiveness, and clean URL structures. I've already kind of touched on that. Make sure it's easy to find. Frequently asked questions are also regularly used by AI mode to answer questions posed by users. And they're particularly important because, again, it comes back to being more conversational, um, trying to keep that style, and also is a good reference for like follow-up questions. You want to use some schema markup when it comes to Google crawling your site. It's able to gather information a lot faster and pull more relevant information from your website if you're using schema markup. And that's more translative over to the users because they can see the information much faster. The more clear and easily accessible your content is, the more likely it is to be used by AI mode. And the fourth suggestion we have here is to build brand authority and follow SEO best practices. Um, Establish your hotel as a trusted source. It's very straightforward. Obviously, you just want to try to give, guests a reason why they should book your hotel, what makes you stand out. Leverage a lot of local SEO tools and services that are out there. We mentioned a little bit before that, Google My Business Profile, Bing Places, and a few others are very prevalent in local SEO listings. So what Yext is in this example is it is a tool that helps you optimize your hotel presence across multiple directories. So instead of using, each directory on its own, you can use Yext to be able to optimize across all all of the directory listings that are out there. So this just helps ensure that, all of your information is consistent across all the tools that are out there and helps you be more accurate for your local SEO optimizations. Traditional SEO is still a valuable piece of AI puzzle of the AI puzzle. Use keyword focus, use a very keyword focused strategy on each page, and that'll help you get into Google and recognize what content on the page is relevant and useful in relation to individual queries. Higher rankings in traditional search, higher rankings results still means, more trustworthiness and more authority that way. Produce some backlinks. If you have a backlink strategy, that's great. It's what we would call, online recommendations in the digital marketing world. Getting more backlinks from travel guides to other authoritative sites that are relevant to your hotel is a good strategy. Citing your sources is an important signal for establishing authority as well. Make sure that you include earned accolades on your site. Um, Michelin star, whatever that you have, if it's your hotel or chefs or anything like that, include that. Um, we regularly see a lot of earned achievements by hotels that also appear in AI mode, so make sure that you include those. And then I will kind of go over some, of the monitoring performance and what you can expect as far as being able to analyze traffic from AI mode. So here's what we kind of know right now. Google doesn't have a standalone reporting hub for AI mode traffic, but they have officially stated that the way it works is that AI mode is counted in overall search traffic reporting within a tool called Google Search Console. So what this means is if a user clicks on a link to your website that appears in AI mode search results, the data from that click is lumped together in Search Console under the web search type. Um, and so what this does is it's a little more important to know because it means that it's accounting for every traffic that's coming in from AI mode, but it's being lumped together. So you have to interpret the data a little bit differently. So while it's being tracked, it's essentially mixed in with the rest of organic search traffic from Google. And so if you needed to differentiate click from a standard blue link in Google search that came from AI mode, there is no current way to do that just yet. So we will end up going over some ideas here shortly on how you can identify separate traffic from AI mode versus traditional Google. But for now, that's just a tool that's currently not available. And what we continue to learn, this is also a little bit of speculation, but we've been learning as we go. Google has not confirmed plans in the future for separate filtered reporting, as we kind of already talked about. Sources say it's a little too early to tell what Google will do, but we've read public statements saying that as AI mode evolves and continues to roll out, um, I guess it's already rolled out. As it continues to evolve, more separate or granular reporting could be introduced to support it. As you see here on the screenshot, this is from a trusted source that we read up on all the time. It's called Search Engine Roundtable. Um, you can see the screenshot. This could be a potential place for AI mode to come in for reporting. It's not documented by Google, but in the meantime, it's important to understand that it's coming in. It's just not being separated currently. And here's some proactive steps that you can take while AI mode is still in progress with reporting. On June 16th, 2025, Google officially updated their Search Console documentation to confirm that, all All AI mode traffic is included in the web search type in your Search Console reports. The screenshot here provided is not from one of our clients or from anybody else that we're aware of. It's actually from Google. But if you're looking at any data after the time period of June 16th, it's helpful to track any noticeable changes in impressions or clicks that begin after that date. So a good approach is to compare data from the weeks following the update on that to the prior period. So, um, analyze if your traffic has gone up or gone down. If you see something like this, it can be an indication of changes in what, or in the case of AI mode, in how people search for you. And so, as always, it's important to adjust for seasonality in your business or in your hotel. If you're a hospitality space that has a lot of seasonality in the winters, but is peak in the summers, make sure that you're comparing year over year data instead, rather than just period over period. Also consider technical issues or site changes like outages, migrations, tracking errors that could be influencing performance. So making sure you want to filter those out gives you a clearer read on whether AI mode is playing a role in your traffic surges or decreases. And then lastly, when you see these traffic changes, you want to try to isolate those queries and ask specific questions, by the query or by the landing page. You want to ask things like, are there new queries driving traffic? Are there ones that I haven't seen before? Are there any previously high performing pages seeing less or more visibility? Have certain categories or themes dropped or surged in visibility? Am I seeing more long tail keyword searches than usual? Keep in mind that AI mode is powered by a neural language model or a large language model, so it's a lot more conversational. So searches tend to come in with more with more length, is what I'm trying to say. So at the end of the day, keep notes on these questions, and as trends emerge, as reporting continues to get more sophisticated, compare your notes to what's actually in reporting and see if there's any, trends or similarities there. What can you do while AI mode traffic is lumped together with GA4 data? This is also something that's unfortunate, but we learned that if you analyze it in the same way as we talked about with Search Console, you might be able to, gravitate to the same insights as well. You can expect some influx or vice versa in GA4 data. The data you would be looking at is within organic search. And if you're looking at the source of mediums, it is Google's organic. AI mode became available again on June 16th to all users. So, well, I guess reporting became available on June 16th. So if you're looking at any data, make sure you're taking into account your seasonality and all that stuff that we mentioned before. Um, and then ask questions again. Uh, when you see traffic changes, try to isolate everything. Ask questions like, have you been seeing increases or decreases in views or sessions with GA4? Although GA4 focuses more on the behavior of your site, you could probably look at the clicks on Search Console and see if there's any um, similar trends to clicks on Search Console. So, if sessions are up, then clicks are likely up too. If clicks are down, then sessions are also likely down as well. And if you're keeping any tracking on keyword rankings, this is probably more so for like Search Console where you can keep track of that. You can look at what's increased or decreased from there. All right. Now we can move on to some questions and answers. Thank you guys for joining, and we'll go ahead and start with some Q&A. So one question here says, how does AI mode determine what hotels they recommend? So if there's a myriad of different factors that kind of go into this. And so I think one of the first things we'll want to touch on is, is it a branded search or is it a market term search? If it's a branded search, then obviously more often than not, it's probably going to be yours that ends up populating. If it's a market term search, we kind of talked about it already, but there's uh, content, holistic content that it uses to generate those search results. Um, it depends on the area that it's in, the location, and so I think there's way too many factors to consider as far as like which one it would populate. But I would say if you do end up taking the strategies that we've uh, shown to you today, you'll be able to see more visibility for your hotel specifically. But when it comes to, what hotels they recommend, I think there's a myriad of factors that goes into that. So your location definitely be one of those. The content that you produce, how much of it you have. Um, One thing I will mention is following eat content is a very suggested guideline, and eat content means experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. So in the future, while you're producing content, make sure you focus on those four guidelines, and you should be able to see a lot more visibility coming through AI mode. But again, it's going to evolve. It's going to change like it always does. So, but for now, that's kind of Google's guideline for hotels, and that's what I would recommend as well. Let's see. I'm just looking at the Q&A box here. This one says, I noticed that Logan Kilpatrick, lead product manager for Google, noted that AI mode will become the default search soon. Do we have any idea when that might take place? Basically, how much time do hoteliers have before this becomes critically important? Um, there's no, I would say there's no set time. I think it's not going to be overnight. Um, there's still a lot we don't know as far as AI mode and how long it's going to take before all hoteliers are, being searched on the platform. I don't think it's going to, take away from Google search, but um, if it does change rapidly, I think Google will have its hand forced to provide more transparent reporting. Um, like we said, it's all being lumped right now into Google Search Console and GA4 together. And so it's really hard to know exactly like how much of that is really making an impact when it comes to how often guests are searching for hotels. Um, I would suggest going back to those slides and looking at like you know, those strategies that you can implement for the time being to see how much of your traffic is fluctuated, because that'll be the best indicator of how much your hotel might be searched for via AI mode. Um, but yeah, I think if it's going to change at least super rapidly, Google will have its hand forced to provide more transparent reporting, but I don't think it's going to be anything that changes overnight. So sorry, it's not quite so black and white. I think it's still a kind of a gray area, but that's what I would say about that. Okay, so this one says, how can independent hotels with smaller marketing budgets realistically compete for visibility in Google's AI mode against larger brands and OTAs? Um, my first thought is that right now AI mode ads are not as prevalent for hoteliers, obviously, and so it doesn't extract information for that specific hotel type. But we have seen, like we've mentioned before, meta search being a more prevalent hotel type or ad type within meta search. So I would invest more on your meta search efforts. And if we're talking about like actual budget, um, you want to spend a lot of that on meta search brand because that tends to perform better from what we've seen in our portfolio. Um, right now, we don't know if boutique hotels should be making investments in AI mode types of ads, but like I mentioned, since it does pull meta search ad information into the SERP, we would probably just recommend that you focus on that more often, which is, meta search listings. The other thing is that the presentation we kind of went over today is a lot more focused on organic. So make sure that you focus on that more so than, like an actual budget until we know a little bit further about AI mode ads and how it performs. We might end up doing some beta testing for some clients in the future, but there will be more to come on that. Let's see here. Oh, I already read that one. Do you think AI mode will fundamentally change how travelers move from research to booking? And if so, what can hotels do now to reduce dependency on hotels? Um, I think again, it kind of goes back to, that thing of it's not going to be overnight. There's still a lot we don't know. Uh, I would say, again, going back to that meta search suggestion, focus on that a little bit more because that is typically a strategy we've seen where we've been able to reduce a little more from OTAs. And since that is also an ad type that pulls into meta search just from the SERP standpoint, focus on investing in that. Let's see. When crafting blogs on your site, would you recommend simply continuing to craft new content, or will it also be important to go back and continuously update old blogs so that no outdated information remains searchable? I guess it depends on how much content you have. Um, I would say if you have the time, that would be a great investment. Go back and update your old content so that it goes by Google standards for appearing in AI mode. Um, Again, it's that EAT content that we talked about, expertise, experience, authority, and trustworthiness is the four guidelines that Google recommends. So if you're coming up with topics in the future, I would just use those as like those guidelines of a topic. So if you're picking one, go by those specific criterias and see if it matches, um, and use that as your guideline for creating content. Um, I want to make sure I touched on everything in that question. Yeah, I think that's what I would suggest. This one says, is Oyster really a site we should be concerned with in terms of AI? They don't update their content and are very difficult to reach for updates. If AI is pulling from there, we need a better way to update our content on that site. Um, I'm going to be honest, I don't know what Oyster is. It sounds like it's a separate AI platform, but maybe I'm wrong. I might be totally wrong.
Um,
Um,
Alex, do you want me to hop in real quick?
yeah, go ahead.
So Oyster is, to answer his question, Oyster is basically, it's almost like TripAdvisor. It goes based off of search locations, and you are correct. Currently, right now, it's not a website that we can update the content on it, but because it has such high brand authority, that's why Google is pulling from it to answer that question a little bit more. Um, Hopefully with due time, we're able to, well, not us in particular, but hotels are able to like reach out to the site itself and just update their content, or they'll be more open to possibly updating what is on their site and what the hotels can be putting out, because I do understand that because it is showing up on as a source from Google, from AI mode, it is kind of concerning that we, as hoteliers, they're not able to answer or um, to update to update like what is on there. So it is difficult, but it's AI mode just released this year. Everything's still kind of in its initial stages. So it's going to take a little bit more time. Again, the reason why they use it is probably because it has such a high authority. It goes back to the EEAT, the EAT. So with due time, hopefully that it doesn't show up too often. It mainly uses TripAdvisor from what I've seen from when we were doing the study and for my own personal use of AI mode, it doesn't pop up too often thus far, but it is something we are going to be researching further.
Thanks, Naomi. Appreciate the hand there. All right. And I think we have, I believe that's it. Danielle, am I wrong, or are there more questions?
We just have one more from Dean. It's the very bottom one in the chat or the QA box.
Okay, let me find that one. Does the presence of a particular hotel in the AI results page count as an eligible impression? If so, does this mean the pool of potential impressions effectively increase? Within the AI mode, this is technically a non-brand search, not looking for a specific hotel, which eventually gets funneled to a GMB listing that is normally considered a branded search result rather than a destination ad. So to go off of the eligible impressions, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's all pulled in there together. It acts as well as an impression. If it shows up in AI mode, it's also counted in. Um, Again, unfortunately, there's no way to really segregate it. We'll figure that out once AI mode continues to evolve its reporting. Um, and then the second part was, just want to make sure I understand your non-branded search here. Yeah, that's how I would answer that. I think I am understanding your question there. I understand the first part. I'm not sure I understand the second part that well, but it does, yeah, it does all pull together.
Dean, if you feel comfortable, I'm going to unmute you. Maybe you can provide some further clarification to your question.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, so within the AI results for the hotels that are listed there, that's still kind of at a non-brand level, right? I haven't looked for a specific hotel, but eventually it gets funneled down to the specific hotel's GMB page. So when we think about the number of impressions that a hotel is looking at in their data set, is that impression going to be counted as, hey, somebody looked for you and got to your property page? Or is that impression going to be counted more as a somebody was looking at you from a kind of like a maps versus a local universal comparison?
Yeah, it'll be reported as more like someone looked at your map and local comparison. It's not like gonna tie back to GMB. It'll be like any traditional search where if it populates within there, it's just gonna populate into your data as a regular impression. It won't have any like specific ties to any of those other things as you mentioned. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, it does. And the part of the reason I asked that is because as AI mode increases and the volume of traffic through it increases, theoretically then and you mentioned long tail search terms as well too, right? So things that you didn't even qualify to come up as a result in before now are suddenly being captured by the AI, and suddenly your property is being listed under luxury hotels that accept pets, have pools, and a blue door on the front. I don't know, something like that, right? So suddenly this long string comes together. So now all of a sudden your impressions increase, right? The pool of potential searches that you qualified for increases, but at the same time, these are very high level, high funnel type of searches. So you might see a scenario where your conversion rate goes down, not necessarily because really you're getting less conversions, but because you're getting more searches, right? Your number of conversions probably stayed the same, but in a pool that had more searches to begin with, it looks like your conversion rate is going down.
Right. Yeah. It'll have a shift in that aspect for sure. And I think what we'll do is, and that's a good point to bring up, is that we'll probably need to do some portfolio studies on, has there been an increase in impressions as you mentioned? But yes, it in theory and also in practice, yes, that would happen. And again, if you end up implementing the content strategies that we come up with, try to answer basically everything that's under a user's question that's under the sun. And try to be a little more conversational in that aspect with your content, then, ideally and in theory, you should be able to populate for more clicks and more qualifiable clicks. I don't believe that there's any, at least from what we've studied, we didn't see any random a lot. I don't think we've really seen a lot of random searches that would trigger a hotel that was completely irrelevant to the search, but it's pretty accurate for the most part in terms of relevancy, but I wouldn't worry too much about, yeah, being searched for everything when it comes to um, a market search, for example. It should be mostly and very relevant. As long as your information is accurate and things like that on your website are accurate, then you should be fine. So, was there any more parts to that question, Dean, or you get?
There you
I'll
go.
take that as E.
I muted myself. Sorry. No, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, any other questions? I think we're at the end of the Q&A box here. Just want to make sure we left some time for others. Okay, all right. Well, thank you guys for joining. If you have found this information super valuable, make sure to register for our next upcoming webinar. We're going to be cracking the code on Google's PMAX success. You can scan the QR code there on the left where you'll be taken to a registration page. In this webinar, we'll dive into what makes PMAX different than regular search campaigns. We'll look at some of the best practices hoteliers use, um, and consider during PMAX. We'll dive into some real case studies that we've tested and implemented and show you exactly what those results are, and a whole lot more to come there. So again, if you found this content super valuable, make sure you scan the QR code and register for the upcoming webinar. Or if you do have questions that are inside or outside of what we talked about today, you can scan the one on the right. Tell us what you're looking for, how we can be of help to you. We're definitely eager to connect with you and see what we can do to help you. But that's it for today. Thank you guys for joining.